Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're trade review of AMD. I'm gonna go through what actually put AMD on my radar. We're gonna go through my entry, through my exit, and how did I manage the risk for my trade. So if you're interested on that information, make sure to stick all the way through this video. And guys, before we continue with the video, remember that this information is based just on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. And if at any point of this video, guys, you find any information valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That's really gonna help the channel grow, and that way we can reach a bigger audience and help more traders that are looking for this type of education and information. So first of all, I just want to make a really quick and easy review of AMD. So the first thing that we're gonna cover is what actually caught my attention for AMD, and I really want you guys to understand what was actually the trigger for me to trade AMD. So we're gonna go through two main things. I'm gonna show you something that you can really use on your own, which is basically just looking at moving averages and anchor VWAP, and then I'm gonna go through a tool that I have with Gamma Edge, but you don't necessarily need that tool, but I do think that is actually a really amazing tool. I don't have any affiliation with Gamma Edge. I just think that the tool is pretty amazing, and I actually made an entire video about that tool. You can find that link in the description, and of course you can see it here in the video. It's actually pretty fantastic. So we're gonna cover those two things. So let's start here with what actually caught my attention about AMD. First of all, AMD gapped on this day right here, and AMD gapped on really nice volume, right? AMD gapped on really nice volume, and we actually gapped above the moving averages. So the first rule that I have is gonna be to always trade in the direction of the moving averages, because usually the moving averages make an amazing job in showing you what is the path of least resistance, and you always want to put yourself in a position in which you are trading in the path of least resistance. So first of all, moving averages are rising, and if you're wondering what moving averages I use the 8 exponential, which is going to be the moving average right here. I use the 13 exponential, I use the 21 exponential, and then I also use the 30 daily moving average. I have videos above those moving averages also here in the channel, and I make sure to make an updated one about this tool in which I actually have all of the moving averages together, but that's going to be for a different video. So what is going to be the thing? What is actually going to be my edge? My edge in the market is pretty simple, guys. I'm looking for things that are trading in the direction of the moving averages, and then I'm just waiting for a retracement to those moving averages. So basically, AMD caught my attention here, close above the moving averages, and then what I was just waiting for a retracement to those moving averages, and then after we got the retracement, I was waiting for a confirmation that increases the probability that buyers are actually supporting the price. So what does that look like in a chart? That's gonna be the question, right? So right here, AMD gapped, and then you can see right here that we had a pullback that was coming right into those moving averages. And that's actually what really caught my attention. So AMD gapped, we're pulling back into the moving averages. Now what is actually the trigger? The trigger is pretty simple, guys. And I actually use the previous day anchor VWAP. So I'm gonna show it, it's pretty simple. So as soon as AMD touched the moving averages right here, I got an alarm saying that AMD is coming back to support, right? Because AMD caught my attention on this day right here. AMD was coming back to support, and then the question is, how do I actually build a case in which I understand that buyers are actually showing up? So it's actually pretty simple. So right here, if you anchor a VWAP to the previous day, and let me just zoom here. If you anchor a VWAP to the previous day, because I open my position here, you can see the annotation, right? I open my position on the 27. You can see right here that AMD was coming into support, and on this candle right here was the first candle after testing the moving averages in which we close above the previous day anchor VWAP. That's actually pretty important. The first candle that is coming into the moving averages and is closing above the previous day anchor VWAP. That's the trigger. It's that simple, guys. If I don't get that information, I don't set the trade. It's actually pretty simple. So as soon as we close above the previous day anchor VWAP, that increases the probability that buyers are actually supporting these moving averages right here. That's going to be the trigger, and you can actually make a living just waiting for those things, looking for things that are trading in the direction of the moving averages, waiting for a retracement, and then waiting for that confirmation. Pretty simple. And that's going to be basically the reasoning of why you can actually take the trade, which is pretty strong. So let me just zoom out here. And now let's go into the tool. If you don't have any idea about the tool, I made an entire video. Once again, you can watch it here on the channel. So let me just jump into the, and you can see actually here, guys, I do have a screenshot of the position in AMD. You can see it that I opened it on the 27. It was a 100 lot share trade. You can see right here AMD, my opening price and my closing price, if you want to do the math about the trade and you want to look at the screenshot. So let's go into the tool. So the tool is pretty simple. Made a video once again about it. So it can look a little bit confusing, but it's actually pretty easy to use. So basically AMD, this was on the 27th. So this is a screenshot from that day. And basically what I was looking for was AMD confirming support at this box right here. This is actually called the transition box. And basically, just on very simple terms, if you are above the box, that means that you are in an environment in which gamma exposure is positive. If you're below the box, then that means that you are in a gamma exposure that is negative. Above the box bullish, below the box bearish. Pretty simple. So remember this level right here, guys, above 177.50 bullish, below 175 bearish. So now let's jump back into the chart, and you can see right here that I do have the box. Let me just erase this anchor VWAP. You can see right here that I do have the box with the levels, right? So remember, above the box bullish, below the box bearish. Pretty simple. And the other trigger was that we actually got a close. You can see on the 27 we got a close above the box. So that was the trigger if you're using the tool, but once again, you don't need to if you're using the previous day anchor VWAP, because that's actually pretty powerful. So you can see right here we got the close above the box. Another trigger for me, so I proceeded and I executed the trade. I bought AMD at 178.03. And then of course the next day what happened, we did had a gap to the downside. So now the question is, how was I managing my trade? The way I was managing my trade was using the moving averages right here. So my stop was not exactly below this low. I actually had my stop a little bit lower than that. So my first stop was actually at 171.50, which is going to be somewhere around this level right here. So I was just looking for those moving averages to continue to hold. And then of course we came here. You can see right here that on this day we did had a hammer candle, which was pretty awesome. And that was the confirmation that, hey, the moving averages are holding. So I held to my position. I didn't add to my position because the next day we actually had an event, an economic event. So I didn't want to add to my position that way. But of course, if you didn't have any of that, this was a very valid candle to add to the position. And now let's go about how I was looking for my target. And it was actually pretty simple. I used Fibonacci. Fibonacci is going to be this tool right here. You can actually find it here on TradingView for free. And let me show you what are my, let's do this from the beginning. Let me just show you what are my the style of the Fibonacci that I use is actually pretty simple. I use the 0618. That's going to be the first retracement. Usually that acts as resistance. And then I have my extension at 1618. That's going to be the target that I'm looking for using Fibonacci. Pretty simple. So let's draw this Fibonacci together. Let me just erase this one here. So basically I was just looking right here. The way that I draw Fibonacci, I'm going to make a separate video about this, but basically just in simple terms, I'm looking for the most recent swing. So I'm measuring from this high right here to this low right here. And then of course, just drawing this Fibonacci from this high right here to this low right here. And the extension is going to come right here at this level. This is going to be the retracement. And what is actually pretty amazing about AMD is that we had a gap above that retracement. And then we had a really nice move into the extension, and I always like to take my profits just a little bit before that extension. These levels tend to work pretty nicely, but of course in this day AMD just ripped through it. Doesn't happen always, and now if you actually look at AMD, it continues to trade to the upside. But this was basically the trade. Let me just show you what was the risk management in terms of Rs, if you like using Rs, which I think is actually pretty good. Let's just take a look here, right? So my entry was right here, somewhere around 178, and then my stop, as I mentioned, was a little bit below these levels, somewhere around 171.50. So you're looking, right? So this was my risk here, this was my risk, and then this was one multiple of my risk was going all the way to 184, and two multiples of my risk, one was going all the way to that 190 level. So this was basically a 2-hour trade, which is what you're looking for, right? If you're a trader and you're looking to risk 1 to make 2, and then you build an edge with a probability that you're gonna win most of the time, or at least 50%, then you have yourself a winning system. So this one, pretty easy trade. If you wanna take a look at the prices that I bought and that I sold, this trade was somewhere around a 6% plus trade, which is actually pretty good. 6% plus trade, and I make somewhere around 1,100 bucks, which was a really nice swing trade for a 2-day swing trade. This is a great way to create income, and usually it depends on the size of your account, but I will say that you will like to risk somewhere around 0.5% of your portfolio per trade. You can go all the way to 1%. That of course is personal preference. I always like to be on that low side. I always like to risk less than 1% per trade. And then of course you can do the math on your own portfolio. That means if you're trading a 50,000, right? Let's say that you're trading a $10,000 portfolio, right? If you're trading a $10,000 portfolio, then you're gonna be looking to risk per trade. If you're looking to risk that 1%, then perhaps you're looking to risk somewhere around $100, right? That's gonna be kind of of how much money are you gonna be looking to risk. But of course, it depends on the size of your portfolio. But I have found that is a really nice way to build confidence. And then, of course, as your account starts to grow, those numbers are gonna become bigger. So that's gonna be basically it for the video, guys. If you have any more questions, make sure to put them in the comment section, and then I'm gonna be looking to do more of these videos. I really enjoy sharing what I learn and what is working for me, and then of course that way we can build a really nice community here. So once again, thank you so much, guys, for your time, guys, and I will see you on future videos. Take care and bye bye.